Okay guys, welcome to the next part, which is texturing, and in this part we'll start painting the leaves, and I will split this part into two parts, and in the first one we'll start painting the leaves. I will do the setup for texture painting, and in the second we will start painting the bark. Okay, so before texturing we will have to set up a few things. I'm using a drawing tablet, and if you do too, just go to edit, click preferences, and under the input you have the option to emulate 3-button mouse. So this basically will help us to navigate around 3D viewport easier with the tablet. Okay, if you don't have a tablet, you can draw with mouse. It's possible too, but it is easier with pen. But don't get discouraged, because those textures are very simple, and you can do it on mouse too. So okay, so first thing we have to do is select one of the leaves. I select the middle one, and I isolate it with Shift H. Now if you go to texture paint mode, you can see the leaf, and this is pink now because there's no texture on the leaf. So here on the left side we have to add the new texture to it. So click on new, name it leaf underscore color, and the size of the texture is okay. We can change the color of the texture to something more green, and after you've done that you can click OK. So as you can see, nothing changed because our model has no material on it. So you have to go to material properties here and click new. This will basically add the material to our leaf, and you can change the name of it to leaf. After you've done that, nothing changed again, because we have to do one more step. So you have to go to shading panel, and here you can see that there's a shader connected to our leaf, but there's no texture that we created, so here we have to add it. So click Shift A, go under the texture and find image texture, and now here under this icon you can click on it and click on our texture that we just created, and just connect the output to the base color. So now we have the texture that is affecting our material. So we have green color here. After you've done that, go to texture paint mode again, and you can see the leaf is green. The first thing that we notice is that the leaf is flat, and you can't see any shadows and light information on it, and this will be very difficult to us when we want to paint it. So go to overlays here and just drag down the opacity, and now you can see that we can see sides of the leaves, lights and shadows again. So this will be easier for us to paint. Okay, after that we want to go to object mode for a second, because we want to change the shading to smooth, because now we can see the quads, and you can keep it if you want, but I like the smooth shading more than flat one. Okay, so click tab to go to object mode, right click and click shade smooth. So basically our tree leaf is now smooth. So you can go back to texture paint again. Okay, and now I will do a short introduction to texture painting if someone don't know the tools, but if you do, just skip this part and I will link the time somewhere around here. Okay, so first tool is draw brush, and basically this is just a brush that will draw the color on our model or the texture. So if you go here to this screw, if you go here to this icon, you have different properties. For example, the color. Now you can change the color of the brush and you can paint purple, it's pink actually, etc. Yellow. You also have a radius, which will make our brush bigger or smaller, and the strength of the brush, so it can be very subtle effect, or if you change it to 1, it can be strong. Okay, so if you have a tablet, just enable this icon, and basically this will now use the pen pressure on the tablet. So if I press very light, I get light stroke, slim stroke, and if I press hard, I will get bigger stroke, like in real life. Okay, so this is basically a draw brush. And second tool is soften, and this will soften our stroke. So for example, if I go down here, this is just example, so you can follow but you don't have to. And under curve, I change to very hard curve, so this one, and you can see the pixels of it. And now if I go to soften brush, this will soften the edges, as you can see. This will smooth it. Okay, so and we'll use it later. So Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. Third tool is smear brush, and basically this will smear our color on the object. So as you can see, it just smudge the color. Okay, and there's also 3 tools left, but they are not so important. Fourth one is clone. This will basically clone the thing that we drew on the mesh to a different part. There's also a bucket which will fill our mesh with some color. So if I change my mind and I want my leaves to be white, I just click on it a few times and this will change to white. And there's a mask tool which will mask part of our mesh which we don't want to paint on, but we won't use it in this tutorial. Okay, so now I usually do 2 things before painting. One is adding brushes, and 2 is getting references on the internet. So make sure to do the second one, and now I will explain you the first one. Okay, so if you change to draw brush, we can add 2 more brushes here. So click 1 time, for example, for now, and change the name of this one to darken. So I want this brush to darken the colors that are I want this brush to darken the colors that are already on the mesh. So the color, you can leave the color for now and change the blend mode to multiply. So this will darken our image. So for example, if I click on the color panel and I click on this picker to sample the color from our tree. Now if I start painting this will darken the areas that I paint on. So as you can see, this is darkened now. And I want to do the same, but I want and now I want to do the same, but with brush that can brighten the colors. So I click once again on this icon, change it to brighten, and under the blend mode change it to screen. So now if I start painting, you can see that the colors are brighter. Okay, and now we can start painting. So first thing we want to do is choose the brighten brush. Here under the curve I want to change to smooth curve, and now we can start painting on the edges. I want to paint all the edges to be a brightened color. So if I want to change the size of my brush, I just click F and I can change the radius of it. And if I click Shift F, I can change the strength of it. Okay, so just start painting on the edges. After you've done this part, we can start adding some details and variations. So I change my radius to a smaller one, and I just start painting some strokes. Doesn't matter how they are, just paint them. After this part, you can see that we have some variations of the leaves and we want to add dark stroke too, so move up here and change to darken brush, and now we can paint darker strokes. But first I change the curve to be smooth too, because I changed it to constant before. So now we can do the same but with the dark brush, so just draw some lines. Okay, so now you can see that we have a lot of variations, but this is quite rough and we want to smooth it. So now go to soften tool and just smooth whole texture. Okay, I've done it. I finished softening my texture, and now change to smear brush, and we want to blend those colors together. So if you start smudging them down, you can see that they blend with each other, and you can adjust the strength to your liking and just start smudging it down. Okay, so now after we smudge everything, you can see that the colors blend, I think, nicely. I think this maybe this looks horrible, but from the far distance they will think that this is very beautiful. Yeah, so don't worry if this doesn't look so great. Okay, so now I want to do the same thing but with edges. So I want to smudge the edges, but I think this color is too dark, so I want to brighten it. So first I go back to draw brush, change to brighten, I change my strength to 1, and I really want this edges to be bright, so I will color it again. Okay, so after we've done this, now we can start smudging it. So change to smear brush. I change my brush to be very small radius. I change my strength to be 1, and I just start dragging from the edges to the middle part, so you'll achieve something like this, and they look like veins. I don't know how to say it, but this will add more believability. I don't know how the leaf will look more believable. So just start doing this to everything. Just start dragging the colors out. Okay guys, I just finished this part and my hands hurt so much. I know that this can be time consuming, but just look at it now. I think it looks a lot better now. But yeah, my hands hurt. Okay, never mind. So I think that we can finish on this, but I want to add one more thing, which is going to, not this one, just change to draw brush, go to darken mode, and I change my brush to be very small. And those leaves, they have, the middle is darker, I don't know, there's a line in the middle, so we can also paint it here and make it very subtle to make it visible but not too much. So I will make something like this and just repeat this pattern. After you've done this, you can see that we have our leaves almost finished and they look very nice. One more thing we want to do is adding a gradient on our mesh. I don't know why, but most of the things looks better with the gradient. Maybe because there's more fake shadow on it, but you'll see what I mean. So Now go to fill bucket, to fill tool, click on it, and here we want to use gradient, so click on it. And now on the left hand side you want to change the color to something dark, but green dark, because we want that color. So I change it to green. And on the right side, which is important thing, we want to change it basically to nothing. So drag down the alpha to 0 and change the color to more greenish. So now this will add a gradient that you can see here on this line. If you change the blend mode to multiply, it will darken the top part and leave the bottom part as it was. Or you can do the reverse, but I want the top part to be darker. So now if I click on the screen and I drag it from top to bottom, this should make the top darker, as you can see on the texture and on the mesh. But I will reverse it and I will explain one thing. If you are doing this tutorial in the future, I hope they will fix it. But normally in Blender 2.79 and the previous one, when you drag from top to bottom, the line was correctly placed. So now I don't know where's the beginning. It's somewhere on the left. I can see only the ending. So this is the error, so don't worry about it. Just drag from top to bottom and this will work. Or if you want the opposite gradient, just drag from bottom to top and the bottom will be darker. But I want the top to be darker, so I drag from top to bottom. And I can add one more, which is very small, so it will start from here and end here. So the top is really dark now. Okay, so I think that our leaf is finished now. So press Ctrl S to save it and go back to layout mode. Okay, and now if you press Alt H, you will see everything again. Now you can see that this is the mesh that we painted. And now if you go to Look Depth mode, you can see the texture. Yeah, it's not that pretty, but we will do post-processing stuff and everything, and it will look better. So now we can see that the texture affects only one mesh, and we want to copy this texture on other leaves too. So first thing you have to do is select them. Select everyone. Select those unpainted textures. We want to smooth them first, so right click and click Shade Smooth. Now they are smoothed. Okay, and after you smooth them, select the one that we texture as the last one, because this will be very important if you want to copy the texture. So after you've done this, click Ctrl L to make links. And now we want to transfer material, so go down to material and click on material. And now as you can see, all mesh have the same material. Okay, so I think this looks okay. And now after we've done this, we can click on the top one, and finally now if you go to edit mode, we can close it. So if you select all vertices, and you click Alt M, you can merge if you click Alt M, you can merge them at the center. So now we have a tree that is, I think, looking good. Okay, so this will be it for the first part, which I think it's a bit too long, but I will cut it out and speed it up a bit. And in the next part we'll start painting the bark, but I forgot about one thing that is very, very, very important. You have to go to texture paint mode again and click under the image, save as, and name it whatever you want and click save. If we didn't do that, we would lost our texture that we painted. So remember to do that, guys. And sorry for not telling you before. Okay, so after you've done this, you can go back to layout and now save it. Okay, and in the next part we will start painting the bark. So goodbye, guys, and yeah, wait for the next one.